Well, we are very excited to host a very special meet and greet with the Tough as Nails competitors and champions. We have Murph, he's a United States Marine Corps veteran, season 1 champ. And we have Meryl, United States Navy and United States Air Force veteran, and she's season 2 competitor. We have Leah, who's a United States Marine Corps veteran and United States Army Reserves season 3 champ. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be here on this meet and greet with our Paramount Veterans Network VIPs. Panel, what was it like to be on a reality TV show after serving in the military?
3 years being on the civilian side is just different, and it's an adjustment, and it takes several years to do so. So being on Tough as Nails, I think it was just for me reminiscent of the military, because you're working with a group of people for a common goal to win competitions, and sometimes individually, and you're in high stressful situations and you have to get along and get together. So, we became a very tight-knit group in a very short period of time. We knew each other very well. So we were like family. So I enjoyed that because, that's how military life is sometimes, especially when you deploy. If you deploy as a detachment or battalion or whatever, you develop those friendships and those relationships. For me, it was a good thing because it reminded me that, hey, there are people out here that have that type of personality.
I retired in 2012. I was in for 22 when I retired. I wasn't ready to retire. I retired because I didn't want to be away from my kids anymore during deployments, because my intent was to go the full 30. So when I retired, it was bittersweet. I got to see the kids, but I missed the Marine Corps like a lot. And like I talk about it now to veterans. So when I retired, I separated myself totally from the military. No VFW groups, nothing to be related to the military whatsoever, because I was afraid if I was doing that kind of stuff, I would miss it even more. So I was retired about 8 years, and I was approached I was kind of found through Instagram. That's how the show kind of found me. And once I learned about the show and I was on set, it was very cool. I don't need to be cheesy, but the show kind of healed me in a way. It felt like the military because you had to get to know those people in a short amount of time. The camaraderie was excellent. Not every time we got along, just like in the military. There's people that you have to learn how to work with, even though you had different backgrounds. So the show, for me, felt like I was in the military again for a short amount of time. And it really brought out my character again, like made me laugh, made me smile. So it reminded me of when I was in. So it was just a great experience for me.
First, I want to say being on Tough as Nails is probably unlike any other reality TV show you could be on, because the show is about hard work, teamwork, getting along, respect, treating each other with dignity. Being on Tough as Nails was reminiscent of the camaraderie you find in the military. We all shared a common goal as a team. I thought it was great. It let us use some of the leadership training got in the military. So it was great to lead a team. It's also great to be part of a team and support whoever was leading that challenge. A lot of life lessons to be learned while we were there. Kind of like a deployment where we were away from our families for 5 weeks. We don't have our phones. We don't have our computers. We pretty much just have each other. There were so many emotional ups and downs in those 5 weeks. It was an adventure. I can't say enough positive things about the show Tough as Nails and having the privilege of being chosen.
What military skill sets did you use during those competitions?
I would say just breaking down tasks. In the Marine Corps, you break down tasks by the simplest and then kind of build from there. So we tried to approach some of our jobs like that nature, like what are the simplest things to do first, and then let's do the next step. So like breaking down tasks by priority, I think, was just a skill set that I had learned. And I think it worked for us, especially towards the later challenges. And also like learning how to, I call it surrendering your leadership. When you do pick that leader or that foreman for that job, you have to know that, hey, they're the ones that we chose to be in charge. So sometimes to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. So using that mindset as well, I think that was a pretty translatable skill to the show.
Just being calm under pressure. And I think when you're in a position, whether you're, in special forces, or if you are just in a high pressure situation, whether you're in an aircraft and lights and horns are going off, or you're under fire, or, someone's yelling in your ear, you just learn to tune that out and focus on the task at hand and not freak out. I think for the military aspect, you kind of bring that calm, cool resolve.
What was your military transition like, and any lessons learned that you'd like to share?
I would say do the opposite of what I did. Find your tribe, find that group of veterans that you can lean on, that you can reach out to for support. Just find that group of people that are like-minded, that you can kind of lean on during those struggles. I should have stayed connected to all those people, and I think they would have helped talk me through some rough times.
Well, Murph, now you have us, the Paramount Veterans Network. So
take advantage of all the programs that the military has today. Those transition programs, they help you to write a resume, learn how to look for jobs and things of that nature. Take advantage of the Veterans Administration and veterans groups. You've got the VFW, the American Legion, find programs they have, veteran motorcycle groups, things like that, whatever you're interested in. So you have other people to lean on, to learn from. And then also I would say is go easy on yourself. Just kind of embrace that process of little successes, possible failures, that transition. Give yourself some leeway and permission to try new things. Don't get stuck on, I have to do this and this is how it has to go. Use those adaptability skills you got in the military to try out new things, figure out what works for you, and, find something you like, and, just run with that and just enjoy it. And surround yourself with positive people that build you up and lift you up and help you get into those directions, like you're doing now with this internship.
When I retired, I left the Pentagon and I became a personal trainer. I would say in this job, I was shocked on how some things, that essential skills that we learn as military folks, or in the business of just working with military people, very essential skills like being on time. It was a benefit, and I took it as like, oh, this is great. Like I can actually task manage, and I can just do things that other people struggle to do. So that put me head and shoulders in the job that I was in. The other thing is, I agree with Leah, like give yourself some grace when you start out, on the civilian side. But yeah, as a military person, don't ever sell yourself short. I think the skills that you learn in the military put you head and shoulders above most people coming out. You just have this fire and this hunger that you have that I think younger people coming out of college and stuff don't have. So use that to your advantage. When I do speaking engagements, I always tell the civilian sector, if you're not utilizing your military people to the fullest extent, you're doing it wrong. But I say it in a different way, use all the skills that they have.
My dad always told me, if you're not early, you're late. Didn't even matter if you were on time. If you're not early, you're late. And I love it. And I do that every day. So
would you ever go back to a reality TV show? And if so, which one would it be? Or would you just guest star on a TV show?
Yeah, I'd go back on a reality TV show, either Tough as Nails or something like that. If I'm going to be a part of something like that, it needs to have a positive message. And I need to believe in what they stand for.
I would definitely Tough as Nails. Amazing Race, just because it involves, Phil. He's a really good guy. So people ask me all the time, what's Phil like? And I'm saying he's just as genuine in person as he is on TV. So anything Phil would be involved in, I'd definitely be a part of. Tough as Nails is just so pure because it really is camaraderie. If there's something cool out there, I hear The Challenge is a pretty good show. I'd never seen an episode of it.
Shannon and I are like, yes, because we love The Challenge.
We had been waiting for them to bring it to CBS, and they finally did.
Yay! It's so good. It's so good.
You can let them know I'm ready if they need somebody.
Now we're prepping Meryl, because go ahead, Meryl.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm game. The challenge. I mean, do people want to see that side? Do I have that in me? I'm a retired colonel. Yeah, I have that in me. But do I use it? It's one of those, you want to let the beast out or not, and how is it going to be perceived? So yeah, but anything with Phil, like Amazing Race, would be fun. I would prefer to do something more uplifting, but I'd be game for the challenge. Yeah, I'd be.
Any of our VIPs, you guys got some questions lined up?
When transitioning from the military to a civilian career, like coming from a career with all this experience and like all these roots built, like me being in 12 and a half years now, how did you navigate that process of like humbling yourself to start something new? And like, did you ever feel the pressure to like catch up or reach a certain level and restarting your career later in life? And like, how did you handle that process? Because I'm sure it's all been felt, right?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. So for me, I was first sergeant, so I was an E8 in the Marine Corps. So senior enlisted. When I retired, I was around 1,500 Marines. I applied for like 66 different jobs. Ended up getting like 5 interviews, and then got hired into a job that I had no idea that there was a career field I would end up in. So I became an HR manager for a company. HR was not in my screen in my most desirable jobs to be in. But there was another retired Marine who worked for the local company, and he was at one of the job fairs, and I'm looking around. He's like, "What are you doing, dummy?" "Well, I'm looking for a job." He's like, "Sit down with me for a second." He talked to me about, hey, even though your degree is not in this, he said, look at everything that you've done and transfer that to the civilian side. He said, just because your degree says this or your MOS said one thing, look at everything that you've done in the military. So he basically helped me break down everything I've done. And then he's like, hey, this company's looking for HR managers. You should apply. And that's how I ended up getting my first job when I retired, was really through networking and listening to somebody that's already done the transition.
I just want to thank all 3 of you for taking the time to, talk everything you said so far, like taking the greatest little successes are okay. Definitely appreciate you to actually hear that. My question for all 3 of you is, how often do you catch yourself talking with others in a military brain? And if you do, how do you bring yourself back to that civilian speak?
I mean, you just have to read the room. So you have to have this level of emotional intelligence and use those tools that are given to you in the military to address people. I mean, that's part of leadership, right? Find out what motivates people. That's a learning curve all the time for me, but it's kind of fun.
One of the things that I tell people when they ask me about transitioning is everything in your life is going to change. The way you dress, maybe your hair, everything. But the one thing that will never change is your ability to stay physically fit, because there's always a way to squeeze it in there. So for me, when I transitioned, staying physically fit was the one thing that I could count on that would never change, because I had approached that the same way I did in the Marine Corps, because it was the one constant I had in my life when everything else around me was changing.
I would say that like no one thing in our lives is going to meet all our needs. And I know sometimes we like to think that our job is supposed to fill every need we have, or maybe our partner or something like that. I would encourage you to maybe find a group, like maybe an extreme sports group or group like that, so that competition, that camaraderie, that, hitting everything hard kind of thing that you learn to do and that you probably love to do, you can still meet that need with other people and, blow off that steam. So when you go to your job and you're surrounded by those other people that don't quite hit it as hard or go as hard, aren't up as early, but that you have other people in your lives that you can, bounce off of. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get everything we need to feel complete, to feel challenged.
So what I would recommend, like, okay, so the physical fitness stuff, what else would help is stuff that, that you're passionate about. Look, I think getting back to some of that, or some things that maybe you wanted to try, and find groups out there, your tribe per se. So, you have your family tribe, but maybe other people who are into different things that you like, to find this other tribe and these other commonalities. I think that would help a lot. I think when I left the military, I struggled to find people within a group, and I think I alienated some people because I was kind of intense. But over time, I found a group of people that were welcoming, a small group, doesn't have to be a big group, small group that's welcoming, they have families, and we had commonalities, then we can hang out every so often that I can call friends.
So first off, we want to thank you all for joining us today and really just sharing a lot of wisdom. we'll walk away with Murph said that the world around you is always changing. So find that one thing that just is constant in your life that you're passionate about and just do that. You know, Leah just mentioned, you know, really just being positive, no matter what those changes are, just staying strong and positive and find something, even though, you know, your life changed a little bit, you're not doing military stuff anymore, but what's that other activity that can help fuel that? And then, you know, Merrill said, find your tribe. So find your tribe, which I hope we're one of them, you know, the Paramount Veterans Network.
Thanks everyone so much for, you know, giving us some time today. We do appreciate it.